I was going to announce today that we actually had some great news that we have certified officially as a B Corp, but I understand that we've handed in all the papers and that we're almost there. And it's great after being a social enterprise for a few years that we now finally also have a certification to operationalize that. So I have 10 minutes to tell you about Fairphone, and that's not a lot. So I wanted to actually start by getting sorry. Huh? Is it there? Oh, sorry. Thank you. By getting the phone out of the way. The phone. This is the phone. This is our first model Fairphone, our first step toward fairer electronics. 60,000 people own a Fairphone in Europe, and we're sold out. So unfortunately, it's not possible to buy this phone anymore, but the good news is that we're building a new one. And since we sold out in February, 35,000 people have signed up for this new one. And I'm thrilled to say this, especially as there's actually no picture available yet of this Fairphone, and that nobody knows what they're signing up for. But I think that that's why I would like to talk to you about why I think these people are signing up today. And that takes me back to the history of Fairphone, which started approximately in 2010. This is a picture of us visiting a mine in the Congo, and we were approached at the time to raise awareness around the issue of conflict minerals. Now, there's been 5 years since, so I hope more of you are aware of this issue, but conflict minerals, for those of you who don't know, are minerals that are mined in regions where the mining of the minerals, the proceeds are not actually going to the people mining them, but they are being taxed and smuggled, and they are fueling a war economy. And in the Congo, that has meant that millions of people have lost their lives since. And these minerals are used in our products, the products that we use every day. So there is a direct relationship between the issues in the Congo and the products that we use every day. And we were asked to campaign about this. And that's quite a big thing to do. So what we did is that we started by saying, let's try and understand how that works. What is in our electronics? So we started opening up a phone. And once we started doing that, we realized that actually these 4 minerals that are defined as conflict minerals are only 4 of the minerals that are used in phone, 4 of the 30 to 40 minerals approximately. But that these minerals go to smelters, and that these go to component manufacturers, and from the component manufacturers they go to us, et cetera, and that these phones are connected not only to minerals, but also to terrible labor conditions in factories where they are made, to toxic waste and lakes around the world, and in fact to huge e-waste piles around the world. And I think we realized at that point, how are we going to campaign for conflict minerals when actually the problem was so much bigger? A campaign was not going to be enough. We needed to have a more sustainable supply chain. And if we thought even bigger, we needed to have a fairer economic system. So we decided we needed to make this phone, which actually makes us not just a company making a phone, because we never set out to make millions of phones, but this phone is our storytelling device, it is our campaign tool, and this phone is a means to an end. And by making this phone, essentially, is what we say here, is that we want to use business as a force for good. So we started in 2013 as a social enterprise. We got our first funding. And since then, we've made our few steps to seeing how we can use this phone to start making impact in the supply chains. And we've achieved some first steps. One of the biggest one to me is the fact that we've managed to sell 60,000 phones to people who have financed us and made it possible for us to remain independently financed. And the other thing is on the supply side, we've been working with people across the supply chain, from manufacturers to smelters to telecoms operators to developers to NGOs, and the list is endless of people who have been trying to help us use making this phone as a platform, as a way to start making change in the supply chain. And here are some of the projects. The light is a little bit high, but if you see here, some of the projects that we made possible with the first phone is that we created a fund in the factory where we make the phone, where we put a premium on the phone, and it's a worker-controlled welfare fund where workers sit together with management to think about how they want to spend the money to improve their lives, increasing worker representation and voice. We've managed to use 2 minerals that we can trace directly back to the source in the Democratic Republic of Congo and that we know are conflict-free. We've set up an e-waste program where we collect phones from Ghana, 3 for every phone we sold, to see if we can recycle these phones properly and maybe use the minerals again to go back in the supply chain. But these are first steps. These are first steps in a long journey toward fairer electronics. And the way we were trying to do it is that we see the phone in that sense as a, like I said, the campaign and the storytelling tool. And what we've done to make it a bit more understandable is we've chosen 4 areas in which we want to create impact. And this means that we want to take a holistic approach to the supply chain when we start designing our products. This is design. How do we take design as a change agent? This is mining. How do we look at the materials that go into our phones and maybe reuse them when they get to the end? Manufacturing, how do we make sure that our phone actually contributes to the lives of the people making them? And lastly, the life cycle of a phone. So when you receive it, you use it, you reuse it, and you recycle it. How can you take that into consideration at the beginning? And to lift the veil a little bit on Fairphone 2, our biggest step for Fairphone 2 has been that for this phone, we decided that we're going to build it from the ground up. So we're designing our own phone. And by doing so, we want to look not only on how we can make a design that lasts for longer, so that you don't replace it every 2 years, but that it also connects you not only to the makers and the people behind the product, but also to the product itself. So how can you become more of an owner of the products you use? How can you repair it if it does break? And I'd like to finish with this slide, which I don't know if you can read, but I'll explain what it is. This is a 3D case being printed by a 3D printer. And it says this phone would be even fairer if ... And we made this for a community member and a Fairphone owner who joined our design competition and on our design page started petitioning for unionization of people in the supply chain. And our response was that we couldn't agree more. We think that being able to form unions is a very important step to create worker voice. So we decided we should make this case. And not only for this member of our community, but for everybody who wants to start a conversation about electronics. And I'd like to end by saying that I think as long as people can finish this sentence, we have work to do. And if I really take a look and want to say and tell you what Fairphone 2 looks like, then this is what Fairphone 2 looks like, and Fairphone 3, and Fairphone 4, and I hope that together we can really start making that change. Thank you.